Good morning, everyone. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, a better way to eliminate debt. And for 17 years, we've been sharing this message, getting the truth out about how loans actually work. And today we're going to be talking about total debt elimination. You don't know what you don't know. Well, just the other day, we were talking about the history of lending and where it all came from and how the amortization of 20 and 30-year loans came into being. And all of these businesses that sprung up around lending and mortgages and turning this United States into a nation of renters, into a nation of home buyers, helping to create a middle class. I'm telling you, and all the ancillary businesses that sprung up as a result of having the mortgage industry. And I'm telling you, a lot of money was made. And do you know why a lot of money was made? Because the whole thing, an amortization schedule is one of the most powerful things on the planet to make money. I believe it is even more powerful than compound interest. That's right. Most people think that mortgages are compound interest, but they're not. They're amortized interest. I think that's the most powerful thing on the planet. And guess what? It is the interest-bearing loan is the most ubiquitous financial tool on the planet. And those who need to use it do not know the rules. Good morning, Miss Ashley. How are you this morning?
Hey y'all, good morning. I'm doing great this morning. Saw this room and definitely wanted to tap in and support and listen and learn a little bit this morning, Don, to kick off my Friday morning. That powerful place of what you don't know that you don't know is always the magical place of intersection. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Will you please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your organization, please?
Oh, thank you. Absolutely. Hey, y'all. I'm Dr. Ashley V. Wilkerson, reside in South Carolina. I am a public speaker and leadership developer expert. I also have the Phenomenal Women Leading community. It's a women empowerment community right here on Clubhouse and other social media platforms. So you're welcome to tap in with me on any platform, Ashley V. Wilkerson. Thank you so much, Don.
Ashley, I saw, did I see that you received an award recently? I know. Listen, I know I can get in trouble. You're going to say,
back
Don.
to you, Don.
So you're going to say, so Ashley, did you receive an award recently? Oh, wait a second. Let me stop right there. Okay, Don, which award are you talking about, Don? I'm talking about the latest one. The latest one.
I received awards from two entities that I absolutely love, and I've contributed a lot of time and effort and talents and resources towards, and that's my sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. They gave me the Service to All Mankind Award and Caring Award, and Girl Scouts of South Carolina gave me the 2023 Woman of Distinction Award.
Congratulations to you, and we appreciate you. And
thank you.
And thank you for being here. And anything that you hear, the rules are here. Tap in, jump in where you can fit in. You don't have to wait for me to even complete a sentence. Go ahead and say, listen, I've got something that I can add to that. Please do, Ashley. We appreciate you. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for the warm welcome. Happy to be back.
All right, great. Steve Matt. Steve, what's going on, man?
Oh, the usual, just cleaning and listening to you and figuring out a plan so I can get with your team and get out of this debt.
Listen, man, I've got some very special information for you all today. And I've got some folks here listening on that are watching us on Facebook as well. Good morning, Facebook user. And because of how you signed in, I can't see who you are. Maybe I can if I go on Facebook on my phone, I can actually see who you are. Let me see if I can check that out and see in there who you are if I go on Facebook on my phone. Because right now I can't see your name. But if you go ahead and type your name, please do so. If you are watching us on Facebook, if you are watching us on YouTube, go ahead and check in. Everybody in the room right now, go to the chat and tell us where you are from. I want to say good morning to you all before we even jump into what we're talking about, because I see Chris, I see Benita, Jeffrey, Jewel, all right, Ramona, Justin, Latasha, we got Justy. Listen, and I have some red tickets in the room. You know why you have red tickets? Because you have not cashed in your ticket. You want to cash in that ticket. And what you're going to do is go up to the top of the room, click on P.I.L.L method, and then join the room. Join and join our club, our house. Join our house, because whenever we're on, we want to be giving out good information, and I need you here. And I'm going to ask you another favor. You don't have to say a word. You could be in here just learning. That's okay. But come to the stage and do it. Because when you come to the stage to learn, if you're here in Clubhouse, come to the stage and raise your hand. And then those who are following you will see that you are on the stage, and they'll come in and get this information as well. All right. So let me start with this idea. When it comes to being financially prepared, especially with the most ubiquitous financial tool on the planet, okay, the interest-bearing loan. Okay, the interest-bearing loan. We are unprepared to financially look out for ourselves. Don, what do you mean? We're unprepared to financially look out for ourselves. You see, when you are expected to use credit cards, car loans, mortgages, even student loans, think about this, folks. Think about this for a minute. Have any of you ever been turned down for a loan? Listen, I need you to put, and I'm going to be the first one. I've been turned down for a loan before, so I'm going to put a number 1 in the chat. Okay, I'm going to be the first one. I have been turned down for a loan before, for whatever reason. Anybody else, if you've ever been turned down for a loan, put a number 1 in the chat. Go ahead. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the reason why I'm asking you to put a number 1 in the chat is because of something that is absolutely crazy. You have been turned down for a loan before, and so have I. But guess what? I know students who were freshmen and now they're seniors in college and gone on to graduate school, at least 6 years of higher education. And every time they applied for a loan, they got one. Every time they submitted an application to get a school loan, to get get that to get the financing for their education. Every single time, without a job, without a credit score, without a prospect of being able to pay it back, they never got turned down. If you think that is crazy, put a number 9 in the chat. So listen, somebody who doesn't even have a job, doesn't even have to report how they're going to pay back the loan. Every single time they put in for when they got one. Put a number 9 in the chat if you think that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Not amazing in a good way. It's amazing because it's just so interesting. Because it brings up questions that we should have been asking all along. What's going on in a system where I can get turned down for a business loan, but I can be in a situation where I can get as much money as I possibly need to go to school, and I don't even have a job to pay it back yet. So listen, there's some things going on with this lending industry that we're just not prepared to handle because we don't know the rules. Okay? So when we get these loans, folks, listen to this. We get some crumbs so we don't ask too many questions. All right? If you can get a loan, you're expected to pay that loan back. And you're focusing on the interest rate you got for the loan, but you totally lose track of the interest cost for that loan. How much does it actually cost to manage that debt? We lose track of that. And in my book, I call it interest consumption. Do you know what your interest consumption is today? How much interest are you consuming each and every month? When you add it all up for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, for 10 years, it's heartbreaking how much interest we actually pay on these loans. But we get a few crumbs. We get just a few crumbs so that we don't ask too many questions. So we'll focus on interest rates. So now the news is talking about interest rates. We're trying to get the best interest rate. We're doing whatever we can to lower our interest rate. But do you know that has very little effect on the total interest cost that we'll pay over a lifetime? Do you know that if you borrow money, that you are a natural resource? You are someone's natural resource if you borrow money. Now, I'm not saying borrowing money is a bad thing. I think, in fact, borrowing money can be a good thing. So let me tell you right now that this is probably going to end up where you didn't think it was going to end up. Borrowing money, if you don't know the rules. Okay. Do we have any lawyers? Do we have any lawyers in the audience? Do we have anybody that's at least gone to law school? Do we have anybody that's a paralegal? If you work in a law office, if you are a lawyer, you've been to law school, you're paralegal. If you have anything to do with that profession, could you put a number 5 in the chat? If you have anything to do with the legal profession at all. Okay? Because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I've just noticed that if you have opposing sides of a legal question, and each side is presenting their case, the judge could know that one of the lawyers is breaking the rules. But here's where the judge comes in. The judge is supposed to just take a look at the evidence presented and make a decision on the evidence presented. Did you realize that if one of the lawyers presents evidence in an incorrect way, the judge may realize it, but if the other lawyer doesn't object, the judge will let it pass. And the judge is thinking, now's the time for you to object, and then I'll throw out that evidence. Just D, you know what I'm talking about. Listen, the judge will throw that whole thing out if you will just object because you know the rules. But if you're standing up there and you don't know the rule, the judge is not going to come to your defense and object for you. Okay, so Justy is raising the hand. Let's come on up, invite to speak. Talk to me. All right, why are you raising your hand today? Okay, Justy, why are you raising your hand today? Click that microphone on the lower right-hand side and unmute. Can you speak to us, or did you just want to come sit on the stage? Right? Guess you just wanted to come sit. But that's okay. That's okay. All right? But if you have something you need to say, go right ahead. Open up your mic and jump into the conversation. So, folks, here's what I need to tell you. The banking, they're the biggest borrowers in town. They borrow our money. And then they lend out that money to make a huge profit, and then they pay us pennies on the dollar for the use of that money. So here's what I'm saying. There is a model out there for success, and they've been using it for a long time. And we're focused here. You know why so many people are in here right now? So many people are in here right now because of the words total debt elimination. Total debt elimination. That's why you are all in here. But what I really want you to be able to see is that banks will never be out of debt. Banks will never be out of debt, ever. They're constantly borrowing someone else's money. And they've turned it into a fabulous business. It makes money hand over fist, and they're borrowing money. But they're paying us pennies on the dollar for the use of our money. We've just gotten so used to it. We just go along with the program. So what I'm asking you folks is, aren't you tired of the way things are? Aren't you tired of not knowing the rules to the game? And some of you are just waking up and finding out that there are rules that you don't know. Because if banks can turn borrowing money into a positive thing, and we are focused on borrowing money as a negative thing, it will always have a negative outcome for us. And banks borrowing money will always have a positive outcome for them because they know the rules to the game. So Don, where can I find the rules to the game? If I become a real estate agent, can I get the rules to the game as a real estate agent? Answer is no. Because how loans actually work, real estate agents aren't taught in their classes to get their license. Well, what if I actually get into a bank and become a banker and actually get into the mortgage section, and then I can teach people how to get loans? Well, actually, when you become a banker, especially on the mortgage side or the lending side, You're taught to sell products. You're not taught to understand how lending actually works. And if I have any bankers in the room, they'll tell you that's exactly true. Because I've been doing this for 17 years, folks. All right. So that's what here are a few crumbs to appease us so we don't ask too many questions. See, this whole forum is to get you to ask questions. And if you have any questions about this, if you have any comments about this, please come to the stage. I need you to be a part of the conversation. All right. So here's some of the things. Focus on interest rates. Okay. And then try to manipulate whatever you can by the interest rate. Well, let me tell you, if you have a 3% loan, if you have a 3% mortgage on a 3% mortgage of 30 years on your house, okay, that means the bank wants you to pay back 51% of what you borrowed. 3% turning into 51%. This is what I mean. If you have a $200,000 loan on a house, $200,000 loan on a house at 3%, the bank wants $103,000 in interest on a $200,000 loan. How in the world did they get 3% to become 51%? 4% turns into 71%. 71% of what you borrowed. Let's use $100,000. Let's use $100,000 because it's easy. It's easy math. Easy math. Okay. So if you have $100,000 at 3%, the bank wants $51,000 from you over 30 years. Okay, 51%. If you have a 4% loan, the bank wants $71,000 from you on that loan. $71,000 on your $100,000 loan. If it's 5%, it jumps up to 93%. Now the bank wants $93,000 in interest on a $100,000 loan, paying back a total of $193,000. If it's 6%, now the bank wants $115,000 from you. $115,000 from you at 6% on a $100,000 loan. Now you're paying back $215,000. At 7%, now the bank wants $139,000 interest on a $100,000 loan. What's going on there that we don't understand? So if we even focus on interest rates, the bank is still making a ton of money, even if you try to get the lowest interest rate. So that's throwing us crumbs so we don't start asking the real question, how do we lower our interest cost on this thing? Okay. So what are some other crumbs that that the bank wants to throw us? Oh my goodness. What about the tax incentives? Taxes. Have you ever heard of, oh, come on, Sharon. Come on, Sharon. Come on, Sharon. All right, listen, I promise that there is going to be some sunshine here. But we don't spend enough time talking about what's really going on so I'm trying to paint a picture so that we can start asking good questions about this lending industry so that we can turn it around so that we can benefit from it. Okay? So we have somebody from Decatur, Alabama in here. Thank you very much, Decatur, Alabama. Well, and I have some people here from Peace, South Carolina. We've got some folks from Brooklyn. Okay. And Bet Ye from Brooklyn and Steve Mack from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Dr. Jackson from Dallas. All right. Thank you very much for being in here. And I'm Don Daniel, and I'm right here in Huntsville, Alabama. Okay. Usually we show, a lot of examples here, but I was inspired this morning to talk to you about sheep being led to the slaughter. Okay. Sheep being led to the slaughter. And we all are there. Okay. If you are a banker, okay, and you are a borrower, you borrow money. You're a borrower, and then there's a lender. You borrow money and you lend money. Okay, so we have to understand where we are in the hierarchy of things. What part do we play right now? What part do we play in the financial system? In the financial system, we are a natural resource that gets tapped. Okay, so how does the bank tap this natural resource? When you trade your time for dollars, or your talent, or your business acumen to make money, but then you turn around and borrow money without knowing all the rules, there's somebody that's sitting at the top that's turning all of your efforts, all of your wisdom, all of your genius into they're saying, listen, you keep doing what you're doing to provide for your family. You keep doing what you're doing to make a lot of money. You keep doing what you're doing, even if you are a millionaire, even a billionaire. I'll let you be a millionaire or a billionaire. I want to make as many millionaires and billionaires as I possibly can, because I'm going to tap that thing. I'm going to tap into you, and I'm going to draw out rent on my money, because I don't make anything. You make something. You make a product. You invented a business. You invented something. You've got a widget over here that is unlike anybody else's widget. You have a service that is second to none. But you're using borrowed money to scale. You're using borrowed money to build it. And you're building it up just fine. According to the rules of building business, you are doing the darn thing. But guess what? You're borrowing money at retail. You're paying me exactly what I want. As a banker, I don't manufacture anything. Nope. Okay. I don't build anything. Nope. I don't create anything. I don't even invent anything. What I do, and I do it very well, I rent money for as much as I can for as long as I can. I rent money for as long as I can for as much as I can. And then I do different things on the periphery, on the sidelines, to get you to focus over here so you don't see the tremendous profits I'm making by charging interest the way that I do. Okay, so here's another one: tax incentives. Did you know that there are tax incentives if you're in business, or even if you're a homeowner, and even these are beginning to go away, but there are tax incentives for paying interest. Now, if I was a banker, do you know I would lobby for your tax incentives? I want you to get tax incentives. I want you to save money on your taxes. Do you know why? Does anybody know why? Raise your hand if you know why. If I'm a banker, I'm going to send people to Washington to lobby for you so that you can get your tax incentives, so that you can save money on your taxes by paying interest. Is there anybody in here that has an idea as to why I would do that? Simon Steele, watching us on Facebook, raising the hands. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Does anybody, can anybody tell me? Write it in the chat or whatever it is. All right. Justy says sorry. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you for supporting the room, Justy. Thank you. Ellie Thompson is here from Orlando, Florida. Thank you so much. All right. Sharon Kane says, so I can make more money on the loan. Sharon says that, listen, this is what Sharon put in the chat, folks, so that as a banker, I can make more money. All right. Now, and we're going to break that down. And Jennifer Felder, PhD, says, the more you save, the more comfortable you may be with paying. They get the money. Who are they? The banks. So I'm a banker. I'm sending lobbyists to Washington to lobby for you to get your teeny tiny tax incentive, which means for every dollar in interest you pay, you're going to get a percentage of that off your taxes. And that's going to appease you. So you're not looking at the dollar I get as a banker, not looking at the dollar. So if I lobby for you to get your tax break, when you get you pay $1 in interest to me, and the government gives you 27 cents off that dollar. All right. You get 27 cents back off your taxes. Do you realize that does nothing about the dollar I just received? It does nothing about the dollar I just received. This is why I'm going to lobby. I'm going to go lobby for you to get your tax incentive. You see, folks, that when we don't understand what's going on behind the scenes, okay, it is important to start asking good questions about what is really happening. Okay, we've got to ask good questions about what's really happening. So I get this tax incentive over here, but the bank keeps getting the dollars. They get the dollars. You get your tax incentives, but it doesn't take anything away from what the bank just received. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Giuseppe, I see you come into the room today. Do you have any thing that you can offer to this conversation? Okay, Giuseppe. Giuseppe's probably in his office working too, just coming in to support the room. So Giuseppe, jump in anytime. All right, and when you're hearing about this conversation today. Go ahead, Giuseppe. What you got? Your microphone. Your microphone's messed up, Giuseppe.
Okay, I call you back.
Nope, not hearing you yet. Okay, he's gonna come back, folks. He's gonna come back. Okay, can I give you another crumb? Can I talk about another crumb that the banks give us? All right. Now,
Yes.
Here's another crumb. Credit scores. Credit scores. Are you kidding me? Credit scores? Do you know that's one of the biggest incentives to get you to pay me on time, so I get my money back plus my interest? All I got to do is give you a credit score. And then you're trying so hard to get the best credit score, all right, so that you can get the low interest rates, which means, did you know that a low interest rate does not mean a low interest cost at all? Low interest rates don't mean low interest costs. They're high interest costs. When a 3% mortgage means I got to pay back 51% of what I borrowed, and you're killing yourself trying to get an 850 credit score. So, and then here's what I found. Be quiet, Siri. We're not talking to you just yet, okay? I'm just getting so excited. Siri's trying to jump into the conversation. All right. So I get a good credit score, so I can get a low interest rate. But I'm not looking at the total interest cost that I pay over the life of my loans. Did you realize that bankers really, so the people who have low credit scores are taken advantage of? predatory lending, and that kind of speech actually takes our eye off the ball. Let me ask you something. If you're a landlord, do you want to rent to people who pay the rent or people who have trouble paying the rent? You tell me. Who are you going to make more money from? People who pay the rent on time or people who have trouble paying the rent on time? Where's your money being made? Where's your money being made? Okay? People who pay the rent or people who don't pay the rent? Listen, are renters smart? Are landlords smarter than bankers? Doggone it. We're focusing on people who are that have low credit scores, that may be marginalized, and then we tell ourselves that banking takes advantage of them and makes way more money on them than they do on us. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? People who don't pay their bills, who may be marginalized for whatever reason, okay? They are a distraction. And we focus there trying to help people who are the distraction so that bankers can continue to make huge profits from people who pay their bills all the time. And they think that they got a deal because they got a low interest rate because they had a high credit score. I feel good about myself. Listen, how many of you talked about your 800 credit score, your 850? How many are proud of that? Listen, I'm proud of the fact that I have an 800. I'm proud of that. But folks, I realize what it really is. It's giving me a crumb so I don't ask the real question. How much money are you actually making off me and my family by giving me a big credit score so that I can be, here's what's happening. If you're familiar with the movie The Matrix, you're familiar with the movie The Matrix? Okay. And how the machines are turning people into batteries so that they can create electricity to power the machine, the machine world. What banking is doing is turning us into interest generating machines. And I'm giving you a great credit score so that I can make you an efficient interest generating machine that I can count on for the next 30 years. That's what's happening. Giuseppe, are you back? Dr. Ashley, do you have a comment on what we've talked about so far?
I think it's so interesting how you broke down the interest of the lobbyists, because sometimes it's important to take note as to why they are advocating for certain things for you, right? And so on the front end, it looks like, oh, they're extremely concerned. But on the back end, it's because it suits their interests more so than their concern for the American people. So I think it's interesting. I am happy that you're shedding light on this information. It definitely gives you food for thought, especially first thing in the morning. Especially first thing in the morning. Thank you for that. All right, we got some comments here coming in from Facebook, and Simone Steele is saying a false sense of positivity. Ooh, a false sense of positivity. That is good. Okay. A false sense of positivity. Because I have an article on that. Okay. To be deceived. So when you're deceived, but you have the illusion of freedom. All right. The illusion of freedom is actually the new slavery, the illusion of freedom. A false sense of positivity makes us feel good about borrowing. There you go.
We borrow even though we can pay it back, we can get what we want, we pay our bills all the time, we're not in trouble financially, but someone is tapping that resource, sucking interest out more, about 75 to 80% more than they need to pay. And did you realize that there are people with perfect credit scores that get fooled into paying 200 and 300% interest on their loans? People who have perfect credit scores get fooled into paying 200, 300% interest on their loans. Would anybody like to see what I'm talking about? How a person, this is why if I was a bank, I would give out good credit scores because of that, because of something like I'm getting ready to show you. If you want to see something like that, put a number 9 in the chat, and I'm going to put something on the screen here. And if you are in Clubhouse and you want to see what I'm getting ready to put up on the screen, I'm going to put my link at the top. Okay. Put my link at the top, ice10k.com. All right. And you can use that to go to whatever, let's see, ice, the number 10, the letter K.com. All right. And you can go there and then find, our live broadcast. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn right now if you want to see this. But if you want to get something quick, go to a secondary device, your second phone, your tablet or your laptop. Go to YouTube right quick, and you'll be able to see what I'm getting ready to present here on the screen. I'm going to give this over to my engineer. All right. Kirk Nugent. All right. Kirk Nugent is our engineer today. And we're going to share the screen. There we go. And the entire screen. And there it is, screen number 3. So we're putting on screen number 3. All right. And we're going to put that on. All right. And I'm going to show you something. Here is, I'm going to show you a refinance. Okay. $400,000 refinance. Okay. They were at 7% at the height of the market here. Okay. They're refinancing this loan. All right. And let's say they can get it down to 5. All right. Plus they're going to buy some points. They're going to get it down to 5. 400,000, get it down to 5. All right. But it cost $12,000. $12,000 for this refi. $12,000 for this refi. So when they add the $12,000, they're adding the $12,000 to what they owe to bring it up to $400,000. So they took the $12,000 for the closing cost and rolled it into this loan. Let me make these numbers just a little bit bigger. All right, $400,000. So to get back to where they were, 388,000. All right, and they add 388,000, and they added 12,000 to bring it to 400,000. I think that's the right math, isn't it? Right, everybody? All right. I never said I was a math person. Okay, I just know how to I see things in pictures and patterns. That's how I see as having Asperger's. That's how I see an amortization schedule. I see things in pictures and patterns. So here's what we have. We have a $400,000 loan. We were at 7. Okay. We were paying a lot more, but now we're paying about $600 or $700 less on our payment. So we feel good about that. We're down to $2,147.29, but it cost us $12,000, but not out of my pocket. I rolled it into the loan, and it only raised my payment just a few dollars. Okay, and I feel good about the fact that I did that. I feel good about the fact that I didn't have to take the money out of my pocket, and I'm borrowing money at 5%. Okay. My $12,000, I'm borrowing the money, And what they're really doing is wrapping a loan inside a loan so that we don't see that. All right. So what else does Simone Steele have to say before I get into this example? Because I see some number 9s in here, but it's not enough. I need to see a few more 9s if you want to see this example. Okay, Simone, what you're saying is then the banks win, lobbyists and the politicians win because they are all tied in the same business. Okay, people who pay, she says, people who pay, support everything. People who pay support everything. People who have the good credit score. People who are responsible. People. We make, as a banker, I make the most money off people who pay. Credits. People who don't rent. People who struggle to pay. Same with the banks. Same with the banks when they rent out money. Exactly. When they rent out money, I want to rent out money to people who pay. All these other things are a distraction. Okay. So it's just this credit score or a report is simply an adult report card. Lord have mercy. Come on. An adult report card. Lord have mercy. Like elementary school, she says, to let you know how well we did in their class, which is debt and borrowing class. Oh, Lord have mercy. I love that. All right, now I got a few more 9s. So let's show us what's going on here. I borrowed money. I've got this loan, and I refinanced it so I can get a lower interest rate, so I can lower my payment. But it cost me $12,000 to get the loan. No, it didn't. That's what they told you. The closing costs were $12,000, and you're thinking that's what it cost you, and you're doing good because now you get to borrow the $12,000 at 5%. Let me show you the amortization schedule here. Here it is, folks. Here's the amortization schedule. You are now paying back the first $12,000 to get back to the $388,000 you had before you refinanced. Let's see how long it takes you to get back to the $388,000 you had before you refinance. So we're paying down this loan at 5% interest. Really? Well, I'm paying it back, but I'm paying it back at $480 a month, $490 a month. But guess what it costs me each month to pay back that $12,000 loan? I'm paying $1,666.67 interest on a $12,000 loan. Ooh, I'm not done yet. Let's take a look at cumulative principal, cumulative interest. Let's take a look at that. All right, folks, if you want to come to the stage and talk more about this, raise your hand, and we're gonna break this all the way down for you. Start inviting more people in here because I'm showing you you don't know what you don't know, because we're given crumbs. They give us crumbs so that we never see what the right hand is doing while the left hand is dipping into your pocket. And I mean deep. I mean really deep. Okay? And pulling out dollars, chunks of dollars. And I'm going to tell you why that is so important in just a minute. So I'm paying back this $12,000 loan that I rolled in here so I can get because see, listen, we're being set up right now. We're being set up for a huge letdown. Do you realize that after the pandemic, with inflation, and the Fed is trying to stem the tide by raising the interest rates? The interest rates got over 7%. In fact, people were scared they were going to go to 10. So we have these 7% interest rates, and people needed housing. Okay, housing was at a premium. People were overbidding on their houses. They were paying over market. They were paying over asking, and now they have a 7% interest rate. Guess what? The interest rates will fall. When the interest rates fall, there's going to be a flood. There's going to be a tsunami of people wanting to refinance these loans. And I'm going to tell you that the banks are going to make trillions, not off the entire loan, just off the closing cost. Just off the closing cost. Don, how in the world can the banks make money? How can they make money off a $12,000 closing cost? I'm getting ready to show you right now, just on the closing cost. So anybody wants to come up to the stage and speak, raise your hand. I'm looking through the audience. And I'm seeing, I saw one hand. All right. Anybody else who wants to come up can say so. So, Aluja, do you have a question or comment before I get into this thing?
Not at the moment yet. I'm just absorbing and learning.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. So listen, watch this. I need you all to see this thing. All right. In the first year, I'm paying down this loan. Okay. I need to pay back the $12,000 to get back to the $388,000 I had when I refinanced. But in the first year, I've only paid back $5,900 of the $12,000 loan. I've been paying on my mortgage for one whole year, and I've only paid back $5,900 of the $12,000 I borrowed to get this great payment and this great interest rate. But look how much interest I've paid already on the first $5,900. If you can't see it, I'm going to tell you. $19,865.97. That is a crying shame. A crying shame that somebody with an 800 credit score who can go anywhere, anytime and get a loan and get the best interest rates available just paid $19,865.97 in the first year just to pay back $5,900 of a $12,000 loan. Well, folks, here it is. It takes 2 years to pay back the first $12,000. It takes you 2 years of regular mortgage payments. You know why? Of regular mortgage payments? Because I'm in this business. I'm in the business of lending money for as long as I can, for as much as I can. And you have your perfect 800, 850 credit score, and I'm going to flood your mailbox with offers to refinance. I'm going to flood your mailbox with offers for this bank benefit. I'm going to have people call you incessantly right when you're putting the first forkful of food in your mouth. I'm going to have somebody call your phone to offer you a refinance. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make it sound so good because you're going to get a lower interest rate. I'm going to lower your payment so that you can have more money to go out and buy something else. That's what I'm going to do for you as your banker, as your friendly neighborhood bank. I'm going to do all of that for you. And you, guess what? And some of you are going to even be approached by your own bank to save money. Your own bank says, listen, I have you at 7. But now I'm going to offer you 5. Why would your own bank, who's in the business of making money, they have you at 7. Why would your own bank offer you 5? I'm going to lower your interest rate. We're going to make that payment more palatable. You're going to love it. Come on in, sign up right here. We're only going to charge you $12,000, not out of your pocket. Just roll it into the loan. That's all you do. And millions upon millions of people, when the interest rates hit 5, millions upon millions of people are going to rush to their friendly neighborhood bank and take advantage of this great opportunity. But by the time they pay back the first $12,000, it's going to take 2 years and cost $39,430 and a penny in interest. 39,000. We've got $12,000 that we rolled into the loan. We're going to pay plus $39,430 in interest. That refinance just cost $51,000 to someone who has perfect credit. Oh, and I'm not done yet. I am not done yet with this example. Here's why. Because if you borrow $10,000 from me, okay, and I say pay me back $10,000 and you pay me back $10,000 interest, what interest rate is that, folks? What interest rate is that? If you borrow $10,000 from me and I say pay me back $10,000 in interest, what interest rate is that really? I don't care what I call it, but what is it? All right, put it in the chat, open up your mic, come to the stage, talk to me this morning, whatever you got to do. Let's get the information out. Okay. So Cheryl has raised her hand. I'm trying to invite her to speak. All right. All right. Simone says classically conditioned, Don. It's another false sense of positivity. All right. Cheryl says can't come right now. That's okay, Cheryl. That's okay. Come to the stage anyway. All right. You don't have to say anything. Just come up. Just sit there. All right. Just sit there. You don't have to say anything. We already know you can't talk. All right. Thank you for being on the stage. Do you know why I asked you to do that? Here's why. Because you have 350 followers. All 350 of your followers have just been notified to come into this room. We got 45 people in here right now, but we need to have 445 because of what's really going on behind the scenes. So, because what's getting ready to happen, you don't know what you don't know. What's getting ready to happen is there's going to absolutely be a storm of refinancing, and people are thinking they're putting themselves in a better position. Ask yourself this question. If by refinancing, I'm saving money, then who has to be losing money? Ask yourself that question. If by refinancing, if I'm saving money, then who has to be losing money? Because we both can't save money. We both can't win. There's a winner and there's a loser here. And when I get this information from the bank, I'm presented as if I am the winner. I feel like I'm the winner. I got a lower interest rate. I got a better payment. I have an 800 credit score, and I'm taking advantage of that 800 credit score by going to the bank and borrowing an additional $12,000 that I just paid a lot of money for. Listen to this. If you borrow $12,000 and you pay back $12,000 in interest, that's 100% interest all day. If you borrow $12,000 and you pay back $24,000 in interest, that's 200% interest. Folks, this is nearly 3 times as much as you borrow. This is almost 300% interest on a $12,000 loan. Now, I'm going to ask you something. If your credit union today sent you an email or a letter, an advertisement, folks, we're going to lend you $12,000. We're going to lend it to you for what? 24 months. Pay it back. And we're going to charge you $39,430 interest on that $12,000 loan. How many of you would sign up for that loan today? How many of you would sign up for that loan? Put it in the chat right now. How many of you would sign up for that loan? None of you would. None of you would. None of you would. But some of you, I need you to spread the news, because some of you, a lot of us are going to, when that interest rate falls and when it hits the news and they start talking about everybody's refinancing, and I'm going to get FOMO and I'm going to get the fear of missing out because they're going to get the lower payment and I'm not. Lord have mercy. And they're going to make a ton of money just on the closing costs alone. They know the math. They see the math. I'm showing it to you right here. It's not 5%. It's almost 300% interest on a $12,000 loan, and we don't see it. It's hidden in the loan. I'm showing you the numbers. We don't know what we don't know. While they're making big profits and leveraging money, and we're paying rent on that money. Listen, we're paying rent at retail when we could be paying rent at wholesale. You don't have to borrow money at retail. You can borrow it for a lot less by understanding the rules. Okay? Listen, we have to learn how to think like a bank. So if the bank is doing this, if the bank can do this, why can't we borrow their money? Make a big profit of using their money, leveraging it, but pay them pennies on the dollar for the use of it. Why can't we do the same thing? Why can't we take a page out of their book? We can. That's what listen, I have over 200 shows up on YouTube, and we talk about that all the time. I give thousands and thousands of examples. I give examples all the time. I'm giving very few examples today because I just get the feeling sometimes I'm not making it very clear what's really happening in our society when the banks know all of the rules and we think we understand the rules. Dave Ramsey doesn't even understand it at this level. Susie Orman doesn't even understand it at this level. When have you heard them write a book? When have they written a book? When have they done a TV show? When have they done a podcast on how much you're paying in interest when you refinance this loan to get a lower payment? When has anybody from the financial establishment pointed this out to you? I want you to put that in the chat. When has anybody from the financial establishment pointed out to you that people with a perfect credit score are being conditioned to pay 200% and 300% interest on loans and not even realize that we're even doing it? And listen, folks, the best type of the worst type of deception is when we believe we're doing the best thing. That's the worst type of deception. When we believe with all of our heart, this is the very best thing I can do. I can't do better than this. This is it. This is the ultimate. Whew, mercy. They're making huge profits and paying us pennies for the use of our dollars. You see, the new slavery, the only color that's recognized in the new slavery is green. That's it. Listen, you could be black, you could be white, yellow, red, brown. It doesn't matter. You're either a lender or a borrower. All right, Annette, Annette, I love that you're here. She's watching us on YouTube right now. Hello, and are you saving this live? Listen, Annette, you know it's saved, so you can share it with everybody. Share it with everybody. I know Annette wants to share this with everybody. Yes, as soon as it's done, it's ready to go. You can click the link and send it out all over the place. Thank you for asking that. And let's take a break right now, folks. Let's take a break right now. We're at the top of the hour. You're in the P.I.L.L method. You're in the P.I.L.L method house today. You're in the P.I.L.L method house. And we're talking about total debt elimination. You don't know what you don't know. And if you're not a member of this house, please join the house. Click P.I.L.L method at the top and join the house. Just join the house. And listen, I want you to also get my book. It has been a 6-time bestseller on Amazon. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that today. Just get the book, start your financial education the right way, and then take this information and teach it to your children. The Bible says that we ought to be laying up an inheritance for our children's children. It starts with education. Our children's children. Teach them what's really going on with their finances so that we will not be used by the bankers. Okay? Please do that. Please go ahead and do that. Get the book today. All right? So let's see. If you have loans today, you got student loans, credit cards, car loans, mortgages, and you want to know the month, day, and year you could be debt free, here's what you do. Get a savings and earnings report. Go to ice10k.com and then click on get a savings and earnings report. And today you can know the month, day, and year you could be debt free and how much interest you could save. We're going to take back the power using your current budget, the current amount of money that you're making, the same money you used to qualify for the 30-year loan, and the credit cards and the car loans. The same income you're using to qualify for these loans is the same income we're going to use to cut your interest costs by 75% and pay off everything in about 7 years. Period. Boom, just like that. You don't need more money. We're going to teach you how to pay less interest. That's what this is all about. Okay? That's what it's all about. And the last thing I want to share with you is to become an affiliate. Become an affiliate today. Some of you are excited about this information and you want to share it with others. Do so by becoming an affiliate. Click on the same link, ice10k.com, and find the button that says become an affiliate. Become an affiliate of the P.I.L.L method. Fill that out. It's free and it takes about 15 seconds. And you can earn anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a month or more. $300 to $3,000 a month or more as an affiliate, and you don't have to sell anything. All you have to do is encourage people who want to do better. Just find people who want to do better with their finances. Okay. They want to get out of debt. They have at least $100,000 in debt. Okay. And a mortgage, at least $100,000 in debt and a mortgage. Okay. All right. There you go. Send them to us. Have them watch some of these videos. All right. Like this video and the one before it. Okay. You're going to love the one before this one. Have them watch the videos, follow up with them in 2 days. And if they're still interested, go back to the same card, ice10k.com. All right. And then you fill out the referral card. Fill out the referral card for them and send it in. Put your name in as the referring partner, and we will pay you for sending that in once they become a client. You didn't sell anything. You didn't sell a doggone thing. But you can make between $300 and $3,000 a month just by doing that. Sign up to become an affiliate today. It's free. Let's get back. Listen, let's get back to our conversation today. Getting back to our conversation today. All right. Do I have any input from the audience today before I get back into this thing? All right. I got Ms. Ashley. All right. Invited to speak. Anybody else? Petros, invite to speak. Come on up. If you have something to add to the conversation, I need to hear from the audience today. Let's get everybody up here that we can to speak to us. And all right, Miss Ashley, how are you doing?
Doing well. Can't really talk right now. I am enjoying listening though.
But listen, thank you for supporting. Appreciate it. All right. Petros, are you in here to support or do you have a comment? Okay. All right. I believe that you just want to support as well.
I do.
Go ahead, Petros. What you got for me?
I just want to hear your perspective about this. I have a lot of loans, and I keep getting loans. I keep refinancing and all that stuff. And when you talk about the cost of the whole loan, I do understand what you're trying to do, and I'm familiar with that because when you sign up any loan document these days, it tells you exactly how much you are borrowing, what your APR is, and then what your total cost of the loan is either for 30 years, 15 years, even 1 year, even credit card. Well, they tell you exactly. So I don't believe it's a secret anymore. But at the same time, what other alternative do you have? Because when you are paying interest, when you are paying all that cost, you are not just doing it for the sake of it. You are trying to solve a problem. Either you want to invest more, you want to use more money for something else to make more money. So if you use it wisely, I believe it's the right tool to do it. I don't see any problem with it. But if there is any other low cost solution, I would like to hear from you. I was in and out, so you may have explained it, but I would like to know what that alternative is, because I don't see it as only how much money am I giving the bank, but at the same time, I also see how much money am I getting from them and how much do I make out of that money. I buy a house, it can be investment, it can be something else. I see the value that I get from them than the money that I pay for them. So what do you say about that? Thank you.
Petros, I've been waiting all day for that, for somebody to actually ask, what can we do? All right. I've been painting a very bad picture here. It looked bad. It looked bleak. I mean, somebody even put up, storm clouds and rain clouds and, that this thing is bad. Petros wants to know, he said here that, listen, we have is a system where we could borrow money to purchase things that it would take us way too long to save up for. We have a banking system that makes a ton of money on borrowing money from us, but they're doing it the right way. They're paying us pennies for the use of our dollars. How do we get to the point where we can pay them pennies for the use of the dollars so we can pay a lot less interest? And Petros says, what do we have to do to borrow money at a discount? Is that what you're asking, Petros? How can we borrow money for less? Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at this. Petros, can you see my screen? Because if you can see this, it makes a big difference. My information is live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn right now. If you have a secondary device, you can go to YouTube, search for P.I.L.L method, and click on the live to see it now. If you can't click on the live to see it now, the replay will be up as soon as we're finished today. Okay? As soon as we're finished today, the replay will be up. So, and it's a 2-hour show. So here's what we're talking about. I've got this $400,000 mortgage that we were talking about here. 400,000 at 5%. And my principal payment is $480.62, while my interest payment is $1,666.67. Here is the thing you all need to know. I did a show a few days ago, and we've replayed it even. Did a show a few days ago about the history of lending. And to make a long story short, when the United States got involved in and bringing us out of the Great Depression era. Part of that was to revive the banking and mortgage industries and go from interest-only loans, which were short-term and constantly being refinanced, to long-term 20 and 30-year loans, which were then packaged and sold on the secondary market to investors so that they can get great returns on their money for 20 and 30 years. They can count on it. Using an amortization schedule, a formula that was invented in the 1600s, the United States adopted it to turn these loans into long-term loans so that we can get payments we can afford, but were ultra expensive to maintain. Payments on mortgages we can afford, but they were ultra expensive to maintain. I'm going to show you what's going on here so that we can ensure the longevity of this system so that these mortgages can continue to be sold on the secondary market to investors. That's why your mortgages are constantly being sold. Your mortgage is now owned by such and such. Your mortgage is now owned by someone else because it was sold as a long-term investment to someone so they can keep that investment forever, for 30 years or more. Yeah. What does it take? If you were an investor, and before I jump into this, Petros, and then I'm going to show you what's going on here, what you could do about it. If you are an investor buying up these mortgages on the secondary market, would you want information out there that people can actually pay off these mortgages in 7 years instead of 30? You tell me. You tell me, if you were an investor who, listen, I can get 6 and 7% on my money when U.S. bonds aren't even paying that. U.S. bonds aren't even paying that. Okay, so I can get 6 or 7% on my money on a mortgage, on these mortgage-backed securities for 20 and 30 years. I can count on that. Do we really want information out there that regular people can actually pay these loans off in 7 years? You tell me, folks. You tell me. Okay? Cheryl says, I have a question. I took out a 30-year loan, $30,000 loan on my house after it was paid off at 4%. After listening to you, I paid 2 payments before my payment due date. I asked that the money be applied to principal only. Of course, they charge me interest anyway. You do pay interest every single month, but you did save some interest, Cheryl. You did save some interest. Let me show you what was really going on. You did save the interest. They just don't. A couple of things. No one at the bank can tell you how much interest you saved. That's number one. And the bank is not set up to tell you how much interest you saved. This education from the P.I.L.L method is set up to tell you how much interest you saved. And our proprietary AI system that computes all of your interest costs, all of your interest savings, will tell you that as well. But the banking system is not set up to tell you. You did save money. I guarantee you did. They just can't tell you how much because they're not trained. The people who answer the phone are not trained to tell you how much money you saved. But watch this. Let me show you how easy it is to save. All right. And if you give me a little bit more information about your loan, you got the interest rate, but tell me the term. All right. Tell me the term. How long? LaRon Carter says, thanks, Don. You are so welcome. All right. Watching us on YouTube. So Cheryl, here's what we're going to do. You tell me what the term is. I'll put your loan in next, and I'll show you how much interest you saved when you made your extra payments. So watch this. I'm making my payment here. Let's say we're making this first payment in January. Okay. We're making this first payment in January. All right. And the second payment here is in February. All right. Here is what they're doing. Here is what they're doing to make so much doggone money on this loan even at 5%. They're not taking the $400,000 and multiplying it by 5% somehow. They're not doing that, because the total interest they want on this thing is $373,000. If you were an investor and you bought this loan, okay, and you said, listen, I'm looking at lending out $400,000, and I want them to pay me $373,000 interest on this loan. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for all $373,000. Okay. And here's how they're doing it. They're taking the interest rate. I'm putting it on the screen right now. They're taking the interest rate, and they are taking that 0.05, that 5% interest rate, and they're dividing it by 12. They're dividing it by 12, and they're coming up with 0.00416, and a bunch of sixes and a 7. Okay. That's what they're doing. They're taking that number right there, and they're multiplying it by the $400,000 to come up with the first interest payment. Watch this. If I take this number here, 1/12 of the interest rate, and multiply it by $400,000, okay, equals $1,666.67. It's right there. And then when you pay your mortgage payment, and $480.62 goes to principal, all right, and you make the next payment, guess what? They figure out your next interest payment based on the $399.518.38 that you now owe. So now we're going to take that same number, all right, that 0.05, clear it out, 0.05, and then we're going to divide it by 12 again, and then multiply it by this new principal balance of $399,036.75. And I get a new interest payment of, I clicked something wrong. Doggone it, Don. I hate it when I do that. All right, let's see. We've got 0.05 divided by 12. All right, equals, all right, and then we're going to multiply that by 399,000. All right, $36.75. There we go. I think I got it right this time. $1,662.65. Well, we got to round that up. 66 cents. Look at that. Okay. $1,662.65. All right. You see, when you take this number and multiply it by the 1/12 of the interest rate, it gives you this number here. So whatever line you're on in your amortization schedule, they're taking 1/12 of your interest rate and multiplying it by that. And what they're doing that 360 times. So it's not one mortgage, it's 360 separate mortgages. It's not 300 mortgages, it's 360 separate mortgages. That's right. So we have somebody who's watching us online right now on YouTube and says they're purchasing the P.I.L.L method today, purchasing the book today. Listen, folks, follow that lead. Purchase that book today and then teach it to your young people. Teach it to your young people. All right. And then watch all my videos as well and share those out as well. So now we see what's going on. And here is what they don't want you to know. Remember, the people who are buying up these mortgages on the secondary market, the people who are buying these mortgages up on the secondary market are praying that you'd never learn how to read this thing, because they're counting on making that money for the next 30 years. Here's what they don't want you to know. This is why after the Great Depression and this system of lending came in, the only thing that they didn't institute was the education needed to understand it. That's the only thing that was left out. The education to understand it, and only a privileged few got the education because they were the lenders of the money. They got the education, but the consumers did not. For over 80 years, the consumers did not get this information. You don't know what you don't know. You didn't get the information. It wasn't part of our education. No one got it. If you weren't a bank owner, you're not even teaching it to your own employees. Only a privileged few understand this thing, what I'm getting ready to show you right now. If we make our first mortgage payment here, you all know that you can prepay these loans, okay? But the way it's being taught to us, we don't want to prepay because we don't believe it's doing us any good. So whatever I put on this $400,000 loan, I still owe a lot of money. Even if I put an extra $1,000 on a $400,000 loan, I still owe $399,000. What? So what's the use? What's the use of putting? I don't have a whole lot of money, Don. So how can I pay this off more efficiently? Here's how. By knowing what happens when you prepay. If I make payment number 1 here in January, the principal payment for February is $482.63. What if you had an extra $482.63 sitting in your bank account? What if you had that? Do you have to wait till February to give the bank that $482.63? The answer is no. If I make my payment in January, my full payment in January, I could give the $482.63 to the bank early, and I'm paid down to line 2 right here in January. What just happened? I just got rid of line 2 on my amortization schedule, not for the total payment of $2,147.29, but for only $482.63. I gave it to them early, which means I eliminate line 2. It's gone. And my next mortgage payment for February is now on line 3 of my amortization schedule. And I just saved, here it is, folks, the investor that bought this loan on the secondary market is now going to get $1,664.66 less from me. Simone Steele says, I believe you are on a God-ordained mission. I do believe that. I respect what you are doing. I pray God continues to bless you. Thank you so very much for the blessing. Folks, please pray for me. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Okay? I've already been sick twice this year. I'd never get the flu. I got the flu, and then I got a cold right after that. So continue to pray for me that I can maintain my health. Let me eat right. Let me do what I need to do. That's right. So we can continue to give out this information. And I also need your help to do it. But we just learned by prepaying. Listen, I need you to see this, young lady. Do you realize that by prepaying $482.63, I just saved $1,664.66 in interest and knocked off one payment. I just turned 360 monthly payments into 359 monthly payments by prepaying $482.63. Now, let me show you something else. I'm going to put a calculator up on the screen. All right. And this is going to be amazing. Okay. I'm going to put the $1,664.66 into the calculator. And now I'm going to show you the power of the penny. I'm going to show you how powerful our small amounts of money are. You don't need a lot of money to affect change in the amount of money you're paying in interest on these loans, Petros. You don't need that. Okay. So I got my phone here, and I'm taking out my calculator and I'm putting the 400. All right. Where's my calculator? Here it is. 400. All right. $482. All right. And 63 cents in my calculator. All right. In my calculator right here. 482.63. So if I'm the consumer and I got this money, it's sitting in my bank account. And if I'm fortunate enough to have it in my savings account, guess what? I'm making like maybe 0.1% on that money. I just took that money and put it on this mortgage, and I saved $1,664.66 with that. Man, that is a terrific return on my investment. Okay. But what if I didn't have 482? What if I didn't have the whole 482? What if I had half of that? Half of that is divided by 2. I got $241.32. I got half of that. Okay. Half of that's 32 cents. Watch this. Okay. If I have half the money, if I only have $241 and I apply that to my principal instead, I save half the interest. Let's divide this by 2. I just saved $832.32 and 33 cents. Is it still worth it? If I only have $241 to prepay, I can save $832 in interest I don't have to pay. Is that worth it? You better believe it's worth it. You better believe it's worth it. Okay, so now I got $241. I got $241, but guess what? I don't have $241. I got half of that. I'm going to divide it by 2 again. I have $120.65. Okay, and I'm going to apply that to my loan. So how much interest can I save with that? Let's divide this by 2 again. I can save $416.17 in interest I don't have to pay if I prepay $120. Well, maybe I can get $120 where I couldn't get $482. So Don, because money, money's in short supply. I don't have a whole lot of money. People ask me all the time, Don, where do I get the extra money? Well, I don't have $120, Don. Let's divide that by 2 again. Okay, divided by 2. I got $60.32 though. I can come up with $60. So for $60, let's divide this by 2. Divided by 2. I just saved $208 in interest because I did have $60.32. And you know where I'm getting ready to go. I'm going to divide my $60.32, divide that by 2. All right. I got $30.16. $30.16 divided by divided by 2 saves me $104 in interest. $30 saves me $104 in interest on this loan. Did you guys know that? Did you know what's happening when you do that? All right. When you're putting your extra money on. So Cheryl, when you put your extra money on, you did save some. You just didn't know how to figure it. We can do this. We can do this. We can save a ton here. I'm going to take my $30 and divide that by 2. Yeah, you see where I'm going. I got $15. $15. I'm going to divide this by 2 again. Look at there. $50.52 for $15. I'm going to divide it by 2. Divide my $15 by 2. I got $7.54. Let's divide this by 2 again. Do you see what I'm doing here, folks? Do you see what I'm doing? You don't need a whole lot of money to save a ton of interest. Divide it by 2. Divide it by 2. I got $3.77. And here's what's going $3.77. Divide this by 2 again equals. Uh-oh. I messed up. But you see what I was doing. Okay? $3.77. I forgot what I had on there before. All right. Let me see if I clear that. I forgot. Oh, get this off of here. People trying to call me already. Can't call me just yet, folks. All right. Still online. All right. So here's what's happening. You don't need a lot of money. I could keep going. I could keep dividing that by 2 until we get down to a penny, and you can see how much interest a penny saves. I pick up pennies in the parking lot. Okay? We are like sheep being led to the slaughter because we don't know the rules on how these loans actually work and what's being done behind the scenes. People are buying up these things on the secondary market, and it's being sold on the secondary market. And they're counting on you not understanding this so you can continue to pay these loans for 20 and 30 years, and actually for more than that, because the average person is going to refinance at least 3 times. 9 out of 10 people you know will never pay off a mortgage in their lifetime. And if you pay me interest for more than 40 years on this loan and you die with it, do I really care? I've gotten my money back several times over. That's what's going on. We don't know what we don't know about this. The new slavery, where the only color recognized is green. And the only law, all right, that keeps us separated, that keeps the haves and the have-nots separated, okay, is not understanding that the haves are using the illusion of freedom to keep us as nouveau slaves. That's it. Folks, we're nouveau slaves, all of us. If you're not in the have section, if you're not in the lending section, you are in the borrowing section. And if you don't know the rules, you are being kept nouveau slaves. What do I mean by that? Nouveau slaves? Listen, in the 1860s, the mid 1860s and the 1870s, have you ever heard of sharecropping? Sharecropping. I can't keep these people as slaves anymore. I have to turn them into employees. They have to become my employees. I have to pay them now. And because they can't read, because they can't write, because they can't do math, I am going to supply them everything that they need. I'm going to give them the seed. I'm going to give them a place to live. I'm going to give them a plot of ground to work. And then when it comes harvest time, we're going to sell the harvest, and they get to keep their profit. Yeah. But guess what? Because they don't know the math, I'm going to take out rent for the mule. I'm going to take out rent for the land. I'm going to take out rent for the housing. I'm going to take out rent for the seed. I'm going to take out rent for everything. And listen, Don, you did very well on the farm this year. You did so well that all the things that I loaned to you, you paid it all back in full. You don't owe me nothing, and I don't owe you nothing. There you go. There you go, Don. You did well. Because I don't know the rules and I don't know the math. You don't know the rules. You don't know the math. You don't know what you don't know. And everything that we're doing is to listen. How many people do you know? How many people do you know that ever had a mortgage that has actually paid it off? It's going to be less than 10% of the people you know. You can count all day. You can come back here next week and just rack your brain. It's going to be less than 10% of the people you know. This system is set up for 90% of us to fail. 90% of us to fail. You don't know what you don't know. Okay? So listen, when we get a taste of that freedom, when you get that good job, okay, when you start making that money and you buy the house that you want to buy in the neighborhood that you wanted to be in, and you drive in what you want to drive, and you vacation where you want to vacation, and you fly first class when you want to fly first class, and you drink what you want to drink, you have what you want to have, and you're paying all of your bills on time. When you get a taste of that freedom, okay, we're not worried. We get our 40 acres and a mule, but we don't know how to take advantage of our 40 acres and a mule to turn it into actual profits. Okay? Instead of learning how to take our income and learning how to leverage our credit, our resources to untold wealth, we get focused on the wrong thing. We might get focused on what we might have to pay for the education to get out of this system. We might focus there. How much are you charging to educate me on the system that is keeping me here so that I can never leverage what I really have for wealth for my family? Let me tell you something, folks. We talked a lot about the extra interest that we're paying here on all of this stuff because we don't understand it. But that's not the real evil here. The real evil is the money that money can never make for you because you couldn't invest it because you had to spend it. All the organizations you could not support, all the ministries you couldn't sow into, everything that you wanted to do for your children so that you could set them up right. Because we're paying interest we didn't need to pay, we couldn't also invest that money and get long-term compound interest on that money because somebody else was using it because we paid it in interest to the banking system. That only exists to make the kind of profits they're making because we don't know what we don't know. And we're okay with that because we've been appeased with our high incomes, with the cars that we drive, with the stuff that we can buy. And we don't realize one simple truth, that the average person that is doing well in life pays 35 to 39% of their take-home pay on interest alone. We are interest-generating machines. 35 to 39% on average. Some are actually paying up to 50% of their take-home pay on the interest payments alone on their loans. Not the whole payment, just the interest portion. And we're still living well. You're still driving what you want to drive. You're still vacation where you want to vacation. And you're paying all of your bills on time. And you're doing extremely well in your jobs and your businesses, but you're still paying 35 to 39% of your take-home pay in interest because it's hidden in plain sight. Folks, it's 8:46 right now. It's 8:46. We've been going, that's Central Time. We've been going for almost 2 hours here. I mean, my time has flown by. All right. In the last few minutes, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask it, because we will shut this down. It will not go over 2 hours. I guarantee you it will not. So if you have a question, raise your hand, come to the stage, ask your question now, because when we come back on Sunday, we're going to have a whole new thing to talk about. We're going to get into this thing a lot deeper so that you can really understand what true freedom is all about. It's about getting the new financial education on and understanding how we have been conditioned to think a certain way. Okay? We've been conditioned to think a certain way so that we can continue to give out some money. Here's what I need you to understand this. All right. And we're going to get into this much deeper on Sunday. When you get so conditioned to do something, do you know you can actually be convinced to argue for giving away all of your money? You can be conditioned to argue for it. In fact, the whole system is set up so that we can be complicit in our own victimization. We're actually part and parcel of it. And I want you to know right now, before I go away, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. If I'm sitting in a classroom and my teacher, my instructor, my professor is giving me information and I refuse to learn it, or I don't take advantage of learning it, that's my fault. If the class is being offered and I don't take it, that's my fault. If the information is being given to me and I don't take advantage of it, that's my fault. But folks, I'm telling you, what we're talking about today, what we've been talking about today, which you don't know what you don't know. It's not because you weren't paying attention in class. It was because there was no class. There is no class. The information is not available. It's not in the book. It's nowhere else online. It's nowhere. It's here. We're giving it out. The P.I.L.L method is giving it away. And we're going to learn how you can leverage that to learn to get to make even more for your family, to invest even more for your family, to take the interest back from the bank, invest it in yourselves, and average families making W-2 income can become millionaires by investing the interest money they no longer have to pay. Some of you are too deep into the situation right now. Some of you don't have a whole lot of work life left. I get that. But that doesn't matter. Because you know why? You are here for a reason. You're here so that you could teach somebody younger. Okay? I didn't get this until I was a lot older. I'm a lot older than most of you. And my job here, even though I can't, I can't go back back in time and then use all the interest that I could have saved to invest and to make millions and millions of dollars. Okay. But what I can do is help you make millions and millions of dollars by stop giving it to the bank. So I say, Hassani, I see you there. Come up to the stage if you want, ask a question, because we're getting ready to get out of here. We're getting ready to get out of here, but we're coming back. We're coming back on Sunday. We're coming back on Sunday so that we can talk about how we can reverse this conditioning. How do we reverse this conditioning so that we can think more like a bank? Do you want to think like a bank? And stop thinking of debt as a negative, because I guarantee you banks don't think of debt as a negative. They think of it as a positive. They think of it as leverage. I need you to start thinking the same way. Stop thinking of debt as a negative. I know we kind of painted that whole scenario here, but the only thing that we really painted as a negative was the lack of information. And it's not out there, it's here. And you can help by taking advantage of the information and teaching it to your young people. You can take advantage of getting this information out by becoming an affiliate and sharing it with people. People need to know. You deserve to know. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, but it doesn't have to stay that way. It does not have to stay that way. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Miss Ashley, are you still available? I appreciate you supporting our room today. If you're still available, I'd like for you to do a quick outro if you can. If not, I understand. I know you are very busy in what you're doing today, and I appreciate you being here. All right. So, folks, I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to be back here. We're going to be back here on Sunday, but not in this room. Not in this room. We will not be back here on Sunday in this room. We're going to be talking about some other things about financial violence on Sunday. Okay, what's really going on? Financial violence, victimization, and conditioning. How we can undo the conditioning. We're going to be back here. Okay? Sunday, but we're going to be the house we're going to be in is the mortgage syndicate. We always combine forces with the mortgage syndicate on Sunday. I'll put the room up today. Go ahead and RSVP, but we're going to be in the mortgage syndicate. Don't look for it under our room. If you are online, all right, and you don't have Clubhouse, download Clubhouse today. Download Clubhouse if you don't have it. And if you're in Clubhouse, I'm speaking to people who, but because we are doing a simulcast, we're doing it on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Kirk Nugent is our engineer, and I'm wondering if Kirk Nugent can, because oftentimes he can come in and speak to us, and he just speaks through my microphone here. So, Kurt, if you're available, can you speak to us? Because if he can't, because he's so busy running the back for us, sometimes he'll send me a comment and say, Don, I just can't come on today. But you need to know what you can do to get your message out on live video like this. This live video has been a life changer for us. Okay. He says, unfortunately, he can't do it today. Maybe he can come in on Sunday. And when we're talking about this, maybe he can come in and talk about how you and your business can use live video. All right. But in the last few seconds here, folks, some of you have heard some stuff and you want to do better about your own finances. You want the education, the coaching. All right. You want the coaching. All right. You also want to take advantage of our AI system. Okay. It's cloud-based. It's computer-driven. It's AI-driven, so that our program takes a look at all of your finances and gives you instruction on how much money to move, what month to move it in, what day of the month to move it on, which loan to attack, so that you can save the maximum amount of interest that's mathematically possible. And so that you can take advantage of this technology. It's not downloadable. It's cloud-based. You log into it and it lasts forever. We'll take care of you for the rest of your lives if you want to know more about this. If you want to know more about it, you can get a savings and earnings report today. You can know exactly how much interest you can save and how much and the month, day, and year you can be debt free. And it's usually within about 7 years. Totally managed. And then learn how to take that money that's no longer going to the bank and turn it into fantastic wealth for you instead of someone else. Get a savings and earnings report today. Go to ice10k.com, click on the link and click that button. Get a savings and earnings report today. You won't be charged for it. Okay? Get a savings and earnings report today. And what else you could do is you follow all the instructions, and then someone from my office will contact you to verify all of the numbers and then give you the information you're looking for. And then if you want more information after that, then you want to know how we're able to give you those numbers, then you can do this. Our staff will set you up so that you can get a consultation. We'll do that for you as well. All right? Get the book. Some of you are getting the book right now. All right? Thank you for that. I thank you in advance for getting the book. And some of you have become affiliates already. Go to ice10k.com and you can click on all of those links. The affiliate link is there at ice10k.com. The book link is there at ice10k.com. And our other information is there as well. So, folks, I'm going to say goodbye to you. Let's hear from Dr. Eric Thomas one time today. Let's hear what he has to say about the P.I.L.L method, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Bye-bye.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down for my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.